The Rental is the debut feature from director Dave Franco. It's also written by him and Joe Swanberg, and it stars his wife Alison Brie, Dan Stevens, Sheila Vand, and Jeremy Allen White. And it's about two couples who rent a vacation home at an oceanside getaway. And tension soon develops between the couples as their relationships are tested when they believe they see cameras hidden around the home. I'm always interested in seeing what happens when someone who's mostly known for a certain profession like acting tackles directing as well, because usually they understand a lot about filmmaking, they understand how to work with actors, what an actor needs, how to get great performances out of an actor because they've been on the other side of the camera. And in this case, Dave Franco gets a lot of naturalistic performances out of everyone on screen. He's benefited by the fact that he has a lot of great actors in front of the camera. And I like the setup for this movie as well, because as these two couples are going to the vacation home, Sheila Van's character is like, hey, I tried to book this place this weekend and they turned me down. But her friend, played by Dan Stevens, was accepted. So she's feeling very awkward and uncomfortable right off the bat about having to meet this owner who just might be a giant fucking asshole. The film sets up a lot of intriguing scenarios like that right off the bat, and you hope that the film is going to continue those things. Unfortunately for this movie, it feels sort of like set dressing. You get invested in these characters, you learn about what they're concerned about and some of their fears, and there's some serious tension going on amongst all of them, but it dissipates entirely during the second act when it really becomes just a relationship drama, and eventually a slasher movie in its final 10 minutes. I found this movie very generic. I didn't really see much about the film that was special beyond the talent that's in front of the screen, and most of those characters aren't given much of anything to do beyond those first 10-15 minutes. Any tension that's set up just kind of goes away and becomes a long series of arguments that feel very telegraphed early on. Just about every development in these characters' lives I saw coming a mile away. I usually don't like to guess things that are going to happen in movies. I actually try hard to not predict things that are going to happen because I enjoy going on a ride with a film and being surprised. But nothing surprised me in this movie. The only thing that actually took me off guard was just how little happens. Dave Franco's approach to this film is very serious. It's very heavy-handed. It's not a lot of fun. It's actually kind of a somber, depressing movie. Nobody's really having a good time, which is very strange for a slasher movie. And so I figured, all right, they must be building to some sort of really serious reveal, or they're going to take that subtext set up in the beginning of the movie and they're going to have it come back into play in some way. None of that happens. I won't spoil it for you, but the reveal behind what's happening makes just about everything that's set up in the first hour feel like a giant red herring, and the reward for experiencing all that is a bait and switch that seems to suggest that the film is super clever when it's just like 100,000 other horror movies that have been released. It feels like a film made by somebody who appreciates horror but doesn't really understand it. There's very little sense of threat or menace throughout the entire film. Most of it is just a lot of relationship drama. And it's nothing special. It's just a bunch of friends who aren't really friends who sort of end up at each other's throats. He also tends to cut away from the violence, and so you never really feel like there's an impact or danger. And when there is violence, sometimes it's comical. There's a very elongated scene with an extremely obvious dummy body that they try to throw over a seaside, and it gets stuck on a rock. And they're like, damn it, someone's gonna find that. So they have to pick up rocks, throw the rocks over the seaside, and they sometimes slam into this dummy's head. And I can only imagine that Dave Franco was going for some comedy, because I laughed my ass off. And if he was going for comedy in this scene, it diffused any tension that was there, and there wasn't that much to begin with. There's a lot of strange comedy choices in this movie. For instance, all of these characters are 30-something. But they act like they're in college. There's a scene where the owner of the cabin comes to fix their pool, and he bends over and you can see his butt crack. So one of the girls bends down and pretends like she's licking his ass. And I'm like, seriously? Like, this isn't even funny. This is like what somebody thinks a horror movie should be, but isn't. It's very pandering. This movie could have been a lot better. And the talent assembled on the screen suggests that it could have. But in the end, it's just a very generic slasher movie with really nothing to say that hasn't been said already in movies like 13 Cameras. And it's strange that this movie acts like it has this grand new idea when it's really just a killer who has cameras set up around the house. It's definitely been done before. And better. I'm going to give The Rental a C-. I figured enough critics would probably find ways to use this film's title as some joke in their review, so I just did my best to avoid that. But if you guys want to see it, it's out on VOD this weekend. But I really do feel like there's better horror out there, and I think Dave Franco has a future behind the camera. I just don't know that this was the best genre for him to debut in, because it feels like a horror film made by somebody who doesn't understand horror. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Look forward to my review of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull this Sunday. Thank you guys as always, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.